What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor. Thank you for tuning in for another fantastic midweek live stream. As we talked about on their last live stream this past weekend, we're going to try to be doing this a little bit more often and get some more information out there to share with the community and get have some fun out there talking about stocks. Yeah, it's a crazy day in the market, in life as well, with crazy stuff happening politically and so forth. But we're here to look at the overall markets. The first and foremost that we talked about, and probably one that most people were talking about today, was Oracle. So Oracle, ticker symbol ORCL, has made a crazy climax push out here, basically going up. What is it? Almost at what closed at 35%, but it was up substantially more. It closed at basically was at 345. That high tick limit here. That is a look at that amount of volume. That is a we're looking here on a daily side. Let's go to a weekly side. This is that's the most volume that we've seen probably I wouldn't say ever, but like in the last let's just call it 5 years at least on a weekly base volume. That's substantial. A huge trend change. These large amount of like inflows, especially with this amount of like percentages, is significant. Because what reminds me of is the Tesla back in the day. This little switch here. Let's go for 2023. So let's do like 2018. Let me go into like this time frame here. You can see here there was basically like next to no volume here kind of coming in here, and then out of the blue, even after the earnings, it had a huge influx in volume. But again, this is in 2020. You know what happened in 2020, but like that is a lot of volume on a single day basis. I'm trying to think of another stock that I can think of that has had such a tremendous amount of influx of this volume on a single day basis. Let me go to like a month. Yeah, it's not gonna. I'll do a little bit better digging into this and find out a time frame that basically Oracle could be somewhat equal or equated to, because that's not nothing, right? That is a significant amount of volume coming into a stock, and that's not all retail as well too. So that is a huge change in sentiment in this stock. So that was very powerful in that sense. Um, a couple other stocks that we wanted to look at as well that we kind of followed up on. If you recall, we talked about Rocket. So I just saw. So Rocket Companies is basically, this is my overall play on the mortgage rates. I just saw. Can I bring that? Hold on. Do I move this? Was it the? Can I move that here? Do you guys see that? Yeah, there. Okay, I mean, it's kind of. Let me move back to main. There we go. So this is basically, you can see mortgage rates in the past year. That's a 30-year fixed mortgage they're talking about here, has gone down substantially. Like, if or not you're not having a mortgage or looking for a mortgage, I'm sure you've heard people talk and reference mortgages and how fast the rates went up and so forth. This is a huge indicator that we could be seeing cuts to the interest rates from the Fed. You can see here people talking about this needs to happen ASAP, where we might get 50 basis points, we might get 100 basis points, which is maybe I'm not the most understanding of exactly what can happen if we do 100 basis point cut. That does seem pretty substantial, but I'm just very fortunate that I don't have to make that call, and I do feel for Jerome Powell on that. For yeah, so Rocket Companies, not Rocket Lab. This is again regarding of the mortgages and breaking through. So this is building a beautiful cup and handle on the weekly side here, and we can just kind of highlight that for you here by drawing some beautiful artwork that I can do. And I'm probably going to do it in a highlight, and I'm going to choose. Let's do right click. There we go. And we're going to make it in yellow. Nope. You know what? We're going to make it in green because green equals money. So we're going to draw this all the way down. This is a beautiful cup, right? It's a cup of a like a cup you drink out of, right? And then this is going to handle. So that is your cup and handle. Pretty basic. This is the tried and true get her done kind of scenario with these kind of stocks. And what happens usually, actually, I'm going to switch from this to the brush. Um, let's do like, oops, wrong color. We want to stick with green because green equals money. So basically, yeah, it comes through here, blah, 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 cup, and then it handles. So a handle, like in this area, is totally fine. It can handle and go a little bit lower like this, but if we get it, let me just clear this out so you don't all these lines on here get you too confused here. If it handles like this, that's totally fine. Why did it switch back to okay? If it's handled like that, that's totally fine. If it starts breaking lower, that's kind of fine too. But if it starts breaking down with volume going down like this, it's basically we consider that like a false breakout. And then it basically resets this potential move here. Um, and that could, yeah, resetting it and basically just canning it, and sadly, of not making it a potential legit move. But if we do, but we do have a lot of things in our favor here, right? We have volume in here, a lot of blue volume, blue means green in this platform, of volume kicking in here, which we like. Why does it keep on switching there? I need to make this default. So yeah, a lot of volume coming in here, which is good. We have a beautiful kind of cup forming. Let's see if we can handle a little digestion. Like we said, is good. So we'll see on how that one plays out. Again, this is on a weekly side. It's going to take a little bit to kind of to see on how that all plays out. Um, that is beautiful there. Another one we talked about on the previous live stream this past weekend was Hood. So Hood has actually had an event as well today, or was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. A lot of things going on here. Apple had an event this week as well. We'll talk about Apple here next. If anyone's out there, a big Apple fan, we'll look at that. That orange phone looks pretty sick. On the Max, is it the Pro Max one? That looks, you got to be extra cool to buy that phone. So Hood, as everyone knows, is trying and is basically kind of taking over a lot of financial markets for the younger generation. They kind of compare it to like the Charles Schwab in the 80s and 90s into the 2000s. It's kind of just redoing everything. It's putting basically everything on the phone for trading, for like sports betting, right? They have the prediction markets, they have crypto, of course, and all the others facets, and they're just really just honestly digging and putting their claws into everything on that. So this is, again, we're strictly looking at this on a weekly side here. Beautiful pattern coming through here. We're seeing this play out great. It left me the green. So is it extended? Not really. But things, a lot of things could change, right? Today was up, was actually down a little bit, but this week we're still up, which is good. We're above the golden line of opportunity, aka the golden line of opportunity, which is the 10-week line on the weekly side. So 10-week, the 10 moving average on the weekly chart. It is still above that, which is a good sign of momentum. We are seeing a little bit of volume coming down here. We're looking down at this area down here, part of the chart. Nothing's offbeat. Like it's not, we're seeing anything critically happening here, which is totally fine. We're just potentially digesting. Like We can put the little box of not purg. I'm not gonna call it purgatory because that's gonna be kind of mean to it. But let's do. We don't want an emoji. Come on now. Where did I put my box at? Is it in this one? There we go. Rectangle. So we're gonna put like a little box here. We'll see if it can close above this, and we'll see how that plays out in the coming weeks. Um, but again, right, anything can happen in the market, guys. Just and ladies out there, anything can happen in the market. Just be ready for that. And risk is every risk, and cut your losses fast. PLTR, which is also one we kind of covered as well this past weekend. It's still holding that golden line of opportunity as well, performing very well. It was actually just featured, I believe, on the All In podcast. We had Alex Karp on that podcast discussing how Palantir is the number one software company, and really selling it to the people who love that, and really embrace everything he says. Um, Beautiful chart pattern here. This has been a monstrous run here. This has been like a beautiful run, a monstrous meaning a beautiful run. It's literally been gangbusters, holding that 10-week line, coming down a little bit to some potential weak hands of selling and so forth. But the volume has been nothing outlandish, nothing too crazy, and nothing to really write home about that as well. Let's go right to the basically the king of the jungle here. I want to make this very apparent here. Of we are in this purgatory box, clearly in NVIDIA, right? Like, look at that. That is a beautiful run up a hill. It's basically NVIDIA just ran up the side of Everest pretty fast, right? And now it needs to kind of catch its breath before it goes to the moon. Like, no, no. Or it can crash, right? We have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball here. I don't think anyone does here, to look for NVIDIA, but let's just kind of keep it frank here. There's NVIDIA has their finger in every cookie jar, or not even their finger, their whole hand inside every cookie jar. Meaning by cookie jar, I mean company that is anything related to AI. So their hand is all over that. So looking at this potential to continue to kind of consolidate here, we are seeing some things um, kind of play around here. Uh, Looking at all-time highs again, the big thing to look at, it's very good tell is the overall volume here. Um, and there's nothing too outlandish here. So we have earnings behind us. I think actually earnings is coming up for Teslas. When did I? Or no, yeah, not Tesla, but Nvidia. Did I read? No, no. Didn't they just have earnings? Let me see here. No, they just had earnings. It's dividends. Sorry, I misread that. Yeah, dividends coming up. Great, great, great. IKA, what's up? Look into SoFi and Tesla, please. Oh yes, SoFi kind of plays along with like Hood. If you look between like this and Hood, it looks very similar, like the same kind of chart pattern here. SoFi, more of like a banking play. They do have an investment arm, but I don't think it's as large as Robinhood. But this has been a great stock here. You can kind of see here where I had my lines to execute on, to kind of ride this wave up. I did trade this a little bit. I didn't get into like an investment size, but a trade was well thought out. Basically, getting in around 16 something and running up to like 20, and getting out. But this thing is looking quite beautiful here, actually. This is Thank you for bringing this one up, because I didn't know it just passed its IPO date. This is actually quite. Let me look this at a monthly. Yeah, do you see what I'm seeing here? I know it looks kind of jagged, but this, you can maybe potentially consider this like a cup and handle here. Look at that beautiful volume here. I call this the middle finger to the bears. You have a beautiful blue volume, meaning the bulls, with that middle indicator finger, like it's giving the finger to the bears, and it just wants to continue riding up. Is it potentially extended? Maybe. Let me look here on the daily side here. It's not too extended on the daily side. It's still kind of. I don't like to honestly trade the 21 EMA too much, because it's a pretty fast moving, or 21-day moving average. It's a pretty fast moving indicator. I like the 50-day AK and also the 10-week golden line of opportunity on the weekly side. But this is a good looking chart. I don't know, when did you get into it, IKA? Hopefully you got in at a very good price, or you're looking at it now. While you're waiting for that, let's go look at the old. What do we want? You said Tesla. Yeah, we're gonna cover Tesla. Tesla was also just featured on the All In podcast as well, with Elon. Really, just talking about, of course, robotics, robotics, robotics. They talked a little bit about self driving, but mostly a lot about how the arm, and how to get the version 3, I think they're on, of Optimus arms, and how all the muscles and the actuators will need to work. It sounds so similar if you were like a Tesla investor when they were trying to build out like Model 3. It's the same premise of like, hey, we looked in the market and no one's doing this, so we have to build it ourselves. And Tesla has been in purgatory for probably a smorgasbord of reasons. Um, it is losing in earnings and sales. Like, it hasn't had, you can look down here, like the sales number, this is year over year. So from 2019, they're making money, da, 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 growing, growing, growing. And for 2025, it's the first time where they're seeing a decline. Does that decline mean that it's going to crash and burn? No, it's like its first like warning shot across the bow of a battleship of like, hey, look out. This is not abnormal, but pretty much, is this the potentially a transition into not just maybe to selling luxury cars or selling electric cars, but like having robotaxi, having Optimus roll out, and all these kind of things. But and the other thing with Tesla is, you know that they Elon is notorious for his predictions of when things will happen, and he jokes about it now, where he's just like, yes, I think in 2030 that we're going to have a million or 2 million, 5 million robots on factory floors and helping people cross, old ladies cross the street or whatever. Like, I would just take that with a grain of salt. I think that he's very forward thinking, of course, and very just optimistic. Um, I think definitely we're going to see robots helping us at a certain time, and I don't want to be the person putting in a title on it, but definitely even with the robo taxi stuff, I think that is definitely going to be growing, because they're in San Francisco, they're in Austin, and like that is potential lines of revenue for Tesla. Um, Compared to its cars, the sales are clearly going away because, again, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going away in the end of September, the US tax credit. So that could definitely, the market might be discounting that, um, for having less than likely expectations. So, but if you know anything about the markets, or have been in the markets for at least a decade, you know that the options market and the stock market itself usually discount at a heavier rate. Maybe they're sandbagging it more than it actually potentially could be, and we'll see on how that one plays out. But this is definitely, anyone who's been a fan of the channel, has watched this, that knows that I'm a huge Tesla investor on that front. So hopefully that answered your questions, IKA. If you have anything else, please let me know. We'll just kind of continue going down the list. Tesla was definitely on the list. So speaking of Tesla, like, we saw that Amazon had like a service come out or something like that. I read something that they're, I think it's be more lidar, if I remember it. So they're going to be competing more like the Waymo side. Yeah, it's not. It's nothing. It didn't move this. Actually, move the stock lower, which is um, quite funny here. But um, Amazon's got their fingers in everything too, so you can kind of see this here as well with Amazon really just kind of not really getting past these. Yeah, this is all-time highs. This could be also be forming like a cup. So let me just draw that here in a second. Let me go here. I need to make this brush that stays. Can I make this thicker? Yeah, there we go. Like nice thick brush. Nice little cup here. And then we can basically handle here. Or handle just a little bit lower again. Like we said, if it starts breaking much lower, like this area, that's going to be a no-go zone um, from that perspective. Oops. Yeah. But Amazon, I'm not saying it's going to be the 100% safe bet, right? Like, but let's be honest, like most of its business is still AWS, right? AWS is a huge component. I don't know. What do you guys guess AWS's revenue is for Google or Amazon? What? Let me ask ChatGPT. What percentage of Amazon's revenue is AWS? I'm gonna guess like 50 or 60 maybe. What is? Put your guess in the comments. Let's see what one gets right. I'm gonna ask here. AWS accounted for only 16%. What? Um, really? I said like what, 50? Um, what other revenue percentages? I thought they were like losing. I thought it was. I know it's a huge part of. It's not like it's growth, but like of the overall expenses into. The online source generates 38% of total revenues. Wow, I did not know that. Didn't I thought it was I thought it was flipped with AWS being a much higher percentage. Advertising has become a significant revenue generator, contributing nearly 8.8% of total advertising service to sellers, vendors, publishers, authors, and others throughout programs sponsored from ads and display. So they're becoming an ad market. Wow. My the physical stores, which include revenue from Whole Foods and Amazon, blah blah, is only 3%. Yeah, that makes about sense. That's not very much at all. But yeah, I was really surprised by that. I thought that was going to be a larger percentage. I thought it was going to be at least 50%, but it's only 17%. Really? That's really interesting. Anyways, that's Amazon on the weekly side. Let's go to we talked about Take Two, right? We talked about Take Two Interactive, which is again anyone who knows anything about video games, is that this is going to be the new Grand Theft Auto. So I did look it up. Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be coming out. Um, Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be coming out in May 26th, 2026. So next year, so a little bit less than a year now, 8 months, 9 months, this game should be coming out. And then, because again, we did talk about like its revenue, right? We're talking about in 2026, they're not going to be making much, but then look in 2027, they're looking to make 50%. They're going to be going from basically this year making 5.6 billion. In about 24 months, they're going to be basically almost a 50% increase of $9.2 billion. That is gangbusters amount of money. Like that is that is insane. And then what was the and then release date of GTA 5? That's what we wanted to look up. Was in 2013. So if we go back all the way to 2013. Oops, too far. 29, 29. But I think it wasn't part of Take Two Interactive. That's the thing. It was still its own party, I believe. I have to remember. I have to figure that out. But I think it wasn't really completely related to that. Um, but as we talked about it on the live stream this weekend, that are definitely, I think we could see that this thing could be a rocket ship, and it is kind of building up here. It's been holding the this is the line here on the weekly side, but if we go to the daily side, it's basically the 50-day, the 21 EMA. It's kind of building up here. It doesn't trade too much. It trades very lightly, and there's not too much volume kind of kicking in here, and it's been very like low, not too much there. I think when they released and they had to actually kick the date, there was a different time frame, and that really kind of definitely shook up the options market. You saw a lot of inflows on the call side go to the put side, and a lot of open interest really open up in the later parts of 2026 and into 2027. Is Rockstar even trading into 2027 for call options? I think I have some because they're over 500. Yeah. Yeah. They only have the January 15th, 2027. And it looks like those just opened up because there's not that much going on those. There's not much open interest yet. There's like six, seven, $800, 600, 800 calls there. Um, it only goes up to 372. So let's see how that potentially could play out. That could be a huge jump in the market for sure in this. Um, Again, this is a very speculative play, and it's really just tied to that news event and that potential revenue generation of that game, right? There's not really much there, and if they kick it again or they have to delay it for whatever reason, that can definitely hit the stock, and those options can get shredded literally, and lose a lot of capital. We talked about Circle too. Again, I mean, sorry, CoreWeave. Um, this past weekend as well. This thing is trying to break this trend here, right? We drew this little golden line, this obstacle that it needs to try to get through. Let me just move this around here real quick. 1 second. Sorry. There we go. This little obstacle here, and getting this. I just messed my screen up. Sorry. There we go. This little yellow line here, golden line here, is basically it's trying to break out this downward trend, which is good. So this is a good sign right here, of a lot of volume coming in at this lower level. I don't want to be a bottom fisher here and say like, hey, this is the bottom, pile in, let's go to the moon, boys and girls. Um, I want to be very careful with that because again, um, being bottom fishing is usually you might get kicked in and out multiple times before you find the bottom, and by the time of kicking, if you're only just cutting your losses at 3 or 2.5%, that's a lot. That's where I usually cut mine, but um, if you do that 5 or 6 times, you're talking a pretty significant amount of capital there. um, but yeah, this is something that I was looking at there, going through there. We also talked about the strategy, not micro strategies anymore, just called strategy. And he was actually on CNBC this week as well, talking about um, him and strategy being the first company of doing this leverage Bitcoin stuff, and how they just bought 200 or 2,000 more 2,000 more physical Bitcoins, and there's only 21 million left. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I, I, I hope and wish that I was trading this. I actually know someone who knows someone who made a boatload, literally a couple mil from this move up here, from this like box of purgatory into this move up with some crazy, insane, long dated call options. And let's just put it this way: he doesn't have to worry about his mortgage anymore, or working. And those are the crazy stories like you maybe don't hear about in Wall Street bets and other things like that. Like there are people out there that are successful and then also lucky at the same time. But so within strategy, it's still a downward trend. We're not seeing it kind of bring back up. We don't want to see the golden line of opportunity, aka the 10-week line, kind of curling over. Um, that could definitely easy cross past the teal line, and that could potentially slow things down, the momentum. The thing is, too, it's not. It was kind of selling at a heavy pace to the downward side, but now we're seeing a little bit like maybe slightly building a base here. Because we go to the daily side, it's below the 200-day here, which is never the greatest sign. And it's and that 200-day line is basically considered like the value investor thing, and you don't want a leveraged Bitcoin stock to be trading below the 200-day while Bitcoin is near all-time high. So it's like a weird disconnect. And are people discounting it? Are people just going more heavily into Ethereum, which is the next one here? This is just the Ethereum ETF here, trust, and this is just kind of a steady Eddie here. This has just been kind of just consolidating, had its huge move up. I know Fundstrat and like other people have been like getting their fingers and their feet wet with some interesting ETFs and plays into Ethereum, and then Ethereum being a very large component within stable coins. And so it's basically like Ethereum's time to shine. Um, but uh, People who are more familiar with the matter with cryptos, and I'm not the greatest at it, that Bitcoin will have its time in the sun again, um, and we'll go from there. Any other questions out there while I take a sip of my delicious tea? I hope everyone's enjoying this wonderful live stream this evening. If you can and willing enough and you're able to click a button, I would greatly appreciate the like or a comment in the chat would be also appreciative. Let's. We wanted. Did we talk? We talked. Well, no, we didn't talk about Google. So Google's doing um, great, right? Since it's like the whole like, hey, don't worry about the legal stuff. Now it's literally gone gangbusters here. Um, Very similar to like a Oracle we saw today as well, flying this high. Not to the same insane amount of like thrust and like power, but definitely there. What do you see here? You see the middle finger to the bull or to the bears of like, see you later, alligator, we're going gangbusters. And the last like week it's just been going higher, going higher, going higher. Is it extended from the 21-day? Yes, I believe this is considered extended for me, and something kind of hard to chase. um, but there's also like my statistical brain is basically in the same the nutshell of like, hey, well, statistically speaking, like 51.7% of the time when something jumps out, it continues usually in that trend for an extended period of time. So could we get a pullback? Yes. Could we get a pullback in the overall market? Sure, but you're literally asking like when is the Earth gonna collapse and so forth. These are questions that a crystal ball can answer, but not I. Um, Dwight Robinson, hey buddy. Let's see. UNH, tell us what you thought of that. That's United Healthcare, right? Yeah, that is uh that is a true collapse. That is a interesting one for sure. That really did collapse quite a bit here, in volume too. But because I can't, was this is clearly not earnings. I forget the story behind this. I wasn't a true follower of it, but this is definitely something that was very damaging. You can see that it went down. It never really caught any support on the way down. And then this kind of turn of events. Let me look on the daily side to make tell a little bit better picture. Like those, yeah, those are pretty significant gap downs. And then trying to find a base here, and now maybe trying to come out here a little bit. and seeing this potentially some more of the buying going into this. I don't know the best fundamental side. It looks like I'm just looking here on the weekly side. It looks like they took a huge loss. It looks like they probably they changed their earnings because look at this. It's nearly down 46% from the previous year. That's that sounds like a haircut right there. So clearly losing a lot in earnings for whatever reason. That is definitely going to be damaging. Looking forth, this is sadly somewhat considered like a broken wing, and could this come back? For sure. But you're seeing that the fundamental story, at least for earnings, is they're only going to be looking for maybe an 8% to 9% increase. If you think that if you know the company better or know the market and know insurance companies better, that could be maybe sandbagged a little bit. Um, oh, Warren Buffett took a stake in it. Okay, well, I'm guessing that was basically in this area here where it went up. Like that is a pretty Warren Buffett. Like, did Warren Buffett do it, or was it basically Berkshire Hathaway for sure? Well, Warren Buffett is Berkshire Hathaway, but how much more is Warren Buffett within the company? Because he did his last shareholder meeting this past year, right? He's going to basically retire. Um, but if you, I'm sure you know this way, like Warren Buffett, they're not looking for a short-term turnaround. They own Coca-Cola. They own like they own. Well, they didn't they just have a problem too with what's the is it Kraft Heinz or Kraft something. They had a like there was some issues there. Like Warren Buffett owns very long. They hold on to companies. They don't sell and get rid of stuff. So this is definitely a long term play. Could this come back? Like I don't for sure, right? This is literally trading where it was in early 2021. So it's not that significant um, as of it coming down, but it's just the duration and how the velocity of it came down is usually the hard point where the shorter day traders are just like it's damaged. They're not going to look at it until at least the 10-week line crosses past the teal line here again, and maybe seeing some upward movement. But this could take quarters or so forth. But I'm not sure exactly why they guided down in that sense, and really got killed on earnings on that. But like a good thing is also looking at what is it? Is it CrowdStrike? Yeah, CrowdStrike. They didn't lose. They lost on revenue too because they had like a pretty significant outage, but they came back pretty fast. Like compared to what we just saw with UNH, like this is that came back a lot faster, and now it's like an all near all time or went to all times highs. Now it's kind of consolidating again. Adam, what's up, brother? BMNR. I'm not sure. I don't know these names too well. These are kind of things I don't trade because they don't have that much data. This is definitely something for the I have to put on a special speculative. This is the speculative trade idea, so you have to be careful with this one. These are is this like the operates a blockchain technology primary in the United States. The company engages in hosting third-party equipment used in mining of digital asset coins. So yeah, this is I'm putting my banner up of speculative trade idea for sure. I'm sure that you're aware of that. This is definitely in the short term. It's hard. It's very tight action. There's a lot of volume coming in here. I just sadly can't give you too much of an answer here because this like a no, it wasn't a SPAC, was it? Um, it just kind of jagged here, and there's not showing any data. Let me pull up another window here. I know. I thought it was a B and R. Trying to see. It's founded. It was founded in 295. Its revenue. Let's see here. I'm looking at if it earns money. I don't think it earns money yet. I think it's still operating at a loss, right? I like companies that try to make. I know they're trying to make money, but I like that it's less risky if they're currently actually making money. Kathy Wood bought a whole bunch. God bless her. Kathy Wood bought. Did she just buy it like today from her? Was it? What did she buy in the ARK fund? RKK. This is the this is coming out too. So this has just been trading nicely sideways here with an ARK. We'll put a nice little box here. Why does it keep on switching here? Oh, switch. Nope. There we go. There we go. I always hit the wrong thing. There we go. Let's see how this one trades like this. And then we'll put an awesome alert here to the upward side. Basically looking at $80 plus. If it breaks out there, we'll go there. I think, Dwight, you're probably right. Like, I think Kathy Wood does fantastic on analyzing stocks, but probably not the best at timing because that is a component of it, right? Like, she had this full story right in Tesla, but the timing and then the expectations and then the price targets she put on them was a little inaccurate, to say the least. Um, what's the other stock that Kathy Wood bought that was it? It was also like it was like Zoom for like health companies. What was that called? Was it telehealth? Teledoc? Was it Teledoc? T-Doc? Teledoc. Yeah, there we go. Teledoc. Um, like she said that this is going to be going a great company, but now, sadly, most people do use a teledoctor at times or need to get some stuff. But this thing is look on the weekly side. Like this thing, of course, during the you know what time, uh, C19, this thing was gone gangbusters, but now it's literally not doing very well, and they're actually losing earnings and they're losing overall sales year over year. Looks like something's turning around. Yeah, they're still even during this time they were probably investing so heavily they weren't making too much money here, and they're still losing at this point. What's they also wasn't Kathy huge into Zoom too, right? Yeah, Zoom looks like just like this. It was just like a splash in the pan of like, oh, this trend has changed. But the good thing with Zoom here is they actually make money. Like they're positive here. The earnings is positive, and they're slowly growing here. They're literally growing at a hair bit over 3%. So that is yeah, it's growing, but 3% for a communication or like a technology company, it sounds more like a commodity if it's growing at 3%. So it's nothing really I want to touch or look into. The one stock that I talked about last time we talked on the weekend was Bloom Energy. This is a beautiful stock. I got into basically a little bit over 27. This is the company that makes the reliable conductors and so forth for like data centers. They do things for off the grid things, providing things and so forth that are reliable at very low cost and it's modular. I think majority of this is actually a short squeeze. The days to cover the shares or the float was like sub 4 or 5 days, and now that number is going even lower, and the float's turning over quite a bit here because you can see that the amount of volume coming in here, and then the stock it continue to rise. So this is getting quite extended here. You can tell a little bit of a better picture here on the daily side. It's just slowly ratcheting up here, and you can see on the volume spikes here, especially coming in today. At one point, it broke like, yeah, 60, almost $66, which is substantial here again. The stock was literally $30 like a month and a half ago, or almost 2 months ago. So yeah, that can happen quite fast here. That's the one we discussed earlier, and just this week it's up well over 15%, 20% actually, I believe, just this week. We did talk about sticking with like AI kind of stuff. We talked about A Lab and Credo. Both these stocks are coming out, and from my perspective, quite extended. This is very hard to buy stocks when they're flying this high, and they're not really giving us an opportunity to buy. Like I love buying a stock that has a beautiful trend, especially on the 10 week line, which we call it the golden opportunity line. There, Dwight, she bought Roku as well. Yeah, I even what's Roku up to? Yeah, Roku, like all the charts look the same, right? Like this is I call this like a Kathy Wood template of like she nailed the stuff in 2019, 2020, and then from 2021 on, it's like it hasn't been too good, and at least it's growing, and they are looks like, oh great. Congrats to Roku. They're actually making money this year. So thumbs up for them on that going into wow. So they're going to be growing quite a bit into 2026 because Roku still just makes that little streaming device, right? Or I'm pretty sure they're probably moved into content as well. What is let's see, Kathy Woods top holdings today. Let's see what Gemini says here. It's probably gonna say Tesla, right? And ARK K is. Let's see here. What's the top 5 holdings? Because were they? I'm sure she has to be. Was she in Nvidia or no? No, she went to AMD. Let's see here. Tesla. Oh yeah, she still owns a lot. 6.42% in Roku. Coinbase is one. Roblox. Oh my gosh, she owns Roblox. Congrats to her. So Coin, that's kind of been like a jagged one here, just kind of bouncing around here, left and right here. Kind of coming out again, same kind of play. Bitcoin's at all-time high. Coin is performing a little bit better than, of course, MicroStrategy. I don't think it's leveraged to that, but I think Coin is probably the most repetitive and most responsible and transparent because it's more based in the U.S. than any other exchange. Roblox. Have you guys seen this one? If you have kids, they love the Roblox. You can see that my alert went off here at 76, and this has been just a rocket ship up, basically hitting a high of 150, and now kind of pulling back here. This is definitely that what it could have been playable at that golden line of opportunity here on buying at those 2 levels there for sure, and seeing how that one plays out. But Roblox, that's a hell of a move. What was the other one that she owns? TEM. What's TEM? Is this like the temp? What is this? Tempest. What is TEM? TEM operates a healthcare technology company. It engages in providing next-gen sequence diagnostics, chain reaction, portfolio molecular change, and other. Wow. Um, they don't earn money, so that's kind of a thing as well. Very jagged. It looks like it's a pretty new company as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Good for her. Definitely on Roblox. I'm sure. Hopefully, she got a lot in that and got some great shares. Dwight says, "What are your taught on the market? What are my thoughts on the market since usually is a bearish market? Yeah. Again, anything can happen, right? So let's just look at QQQ, the noodles as I call them. Um, yes, all time high, right? We touched it today and make an all time high today. What can happen? What we're seeing here. Let me get the old magical pen out here for you, buddy. Brush, and then so we can see here that this is the 10-week line again, the golden line of opportunity. We were further away from it, right? Like we're further away from it, and now it's kind of catching up here. So basically, we have the scenario of like, hey, what can happen? We can kind of consolidate, right? Let this kind of rest, have things play out. Does the 10-week line always hold? No, it doesn't. Does not always hold, right? And then markets do pull back. I think on average for the last 50 years, the Nasdaq S&P 500 have pulled back to the 50-day, um, on average a year, 3 to 5 times, right? So with significant volume. But we did see that a little bit, right? Like I think this markets, because again, markets, the Nasdaq CEO was talking about like, hey, we might be going for to 24/5. So there might equities might be open Monday through Friday for 24 hours and maybe take a rest period on the weekends. Like that's gonna change things up. And then the way news hits, how earnings are reacted and so forth are so micro fast. It's not just like the overall of like high speed frequency trading that's been around for over a decade and a half. Um, this is more like and just how information is just dispersed. Boom, there's a post on X. Boom, this is going out. There's a boom. There's already a live stream on YouTube talking about this. Blah 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 blah. Um, that being said, you are correct. Like February is, I think, on record being one of the worst months out of the year for the overall industry. But I did just actually see something today, which God bless. Tomorrow is 9/11. Um, that out of the last, what did I read? The ones it's basically 9/11 has been green for the last like 21 times out of the last 25 or 24 times that it's happened, and it's on average up nearly 0.5%. So theoretically, statistically speaking, we could see the Nasdaq up higher tomorrow on that. But anything can happen in the world. We could have missile launches. We can have war breakout. We can have some fund gets the first a sign of a fund that was over levered crashes. Like you just never know what can happen. So um, being cognizant of that, and especially knowing that hey, we this is a pretty significant run. This run is from the tariff bottom and the Trump tariff taxes and so forth. This has been a pretty amazing run and a rebound from that. Like the amount of panic that we had over here was substantial, right? There's a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of unknowns. Like China keeps on getting kicked and get extended and so forth. Like if someone just gets upset at Trump, because he just sign an executive order at 2 a.m. in the morning and he can get that rushed through and so forth. But I think that we're definitely it's wise in what I can. I'm not a financial advisor, but I think that it's just wise to maybe from this is what I'm doing, cash on the sideline, and if you're in long term stuff, maybe sell calls. It's what I do, buy short dated puts, but I'm more of a fan of selling calls and selling premium, and even selling puts at certain levels that I may want to buy the stock. That's the CPI should be 2.7 and push the market up because you're saying they're projecting of a price cut. Again, I just know you a little there, Dwight, and not be facetious here, but I don't think you have a crystal ball, and I don't have a crystal ball. Like, could it go higher? Sure, but I let price dictate that for me, and then I just kind of make my decisions from that. The Like we talked about earlier part of the stream of like rates, mortgage rates are coming down, right? Um, Indicator of you have signs like TLT, treasury bonds trying to come out of purgatory here, and they're trying to get higher here and get into, I wouldn't say all time because it's not all time. But you look at this chart here; it's not all time highs, but this level of the treasuries bonds are so substantially lower. So this is kind of correlated between treasury bonds and then yields. So they basically are inverse each other, meaning that if yields go down, these bond treasuries go up. Again, like they're correlated in that way. But then you have to look at it too. You're having GLD. Oh, why is that? I cannot type. GLD. Okay, not working. Let me just type in here. GLD. GLD just this week was making an all-time high, right? Like that's quite significant. Pulling back a little bit into today, but pulling down them, but closing back up a little bit. Like that's quite impressive here. Like look at this 15-minute chart here while it loads. Like came in strong. Clearly, people sold into the open, and those markets and that news, and now it's kind of just like petering. This is a 15-minute chart, but the charts I really ever look at the 15-minute chart. I look mostly on daily and weeklies. But is gold did break out? You can see that line here. Is it extended? We're talking about gold here. This looks like it's trading like a SaaS software company that's like looking to grow 100 and 200% year over year, or 30% sales growth here going in here to this like looking chart here. But we're talking about gold here. This is what your grandpa owns kind of thing. But is gold being replaced by Bitcoin? I don't know. That's a discussion to have another day for sure. Did I cover everything I had? Oh, MP was one too. This is a stock. Yeah, us. I'm a U.S. citizen. We own part of this company, like 11 or 12% of this company or something. Um, and this is again trying to bring those rare earth minerals, and this is the folks that are, I believe, in Nevada, digging out and digging those rare earth materials for the United States. We want to talk about Yeti. Yeti's just kind of fun one where I find stocks that I see people heavily promote on X or whatever. They're saying that this is going to be going gangbusters, and I just kind of just track it just for giggles and laughs. This thing is definitely um, not right now going gangbusters. As you can see here, the golden line is basically where it was shouted out. It had that initial pop, and on earnings got killed, and now it's kind of slowly kind of coming back on Yeti. But again, we're talking about a company that's growing about 1.17 this year and maybe 4% next year. So these are not things that I'm too interested in. I'm looking at companies like A Lab, which is looking to grow 95% this year and 28% the next year. Even like companies like AMD, they're growing 27% this year and then another 20% next year, and that's a huge amount. We're talking 32 to nearly $40 billion in sales. That's a lot. That's a substantial. And AMD has kind of been in that box of also of maybe not performing the best and not really getting out there to the time to shine, and not considered the king of the jungle like we compare Nvidia. but Nvidia is doing great things with chips as well, and especially in data centers as well. Like they make particular chips that work very well with large language model in their own graphical chips sets as well. But it really comes down to who makes all these chips. You can design all these chips and so forth. It comes down to who. Taiwan Semiconductor, right? TSM. These are the guys that are actually having the fabs, and creating all these um, chips. Basically, they're printing all the chips. They're designing. They're not designing the chips. They're printing all the chips. They're manufacturing the chips. Again, this is something that we in the United States want to bring to our shores, and get this ball rolling. But that's going to definitely take a lot of time, um, so forth on that. But this thing is, again, that's an all-time high there, breaking out, closing up really high. So kudos to anyone who owns that. Last but not least, we've got Apple. We kind of talked about. They had I think, not too like fantastic event, like 2 days ago. Was it today? No, 2 days ago. Um, really wasn't, again, nothing mind-boggling. Like they didn't come out with a new. They came out with a new phone, of course. That's what they do every year. iPhone 17. It looks a little bit different and it's orange. But yeah, this is something that it's nothing to really write home about. I think Apple makes great products, but we'll see on how Apple continues to trade here again. I think, Dwight, if you correct me if I'm wrong, does Warren or Berkshire Hathaway still own a pretty large position in Apple, or they just sold some of it, right? Is that what I? That was one of the big things that Warren was getting out of Apple. Was it that? Because Berkshire Hathaway also owned Snow for a little bit, and Snow has a really lovely place in my heart because I remember trying to get in the IPO here, and it was initially priced at, I think it said 100, and it went, of course, completely gangbusters and closed that day. Let's go to the daily chart. Sorry, I was gonna be messy. Sorry, guys. Um, Coming out to the daily side of basically, what is that? 321 on day one. Um, they sold a large position. Okay, but they still have the position. Okay, but they sold a large. Yeah, so I remember Snow was like Berkshire Hathaway was bought a position in. They had a position before the IPO. They were allocated, I forget how many shares. Um, but everyone's like, what? Why does how did Warren Buffett doesn't understand infra and how this helps companies, databasing and so forth. Clearly, yeah. This thing, I have the reason I have a beautiful place in my heart because I remember live streaming that day and saying like, "Hey, I got allocated I think 5 shares I was able to get my hands on around like 200, and then I sold it for like for a little bit over 300 at that point, but it was like halted and so forth, and it had a huge blast off. Oh, remind me, Beyond Meat after this one. That was one I remember trading as well. That we can kind of talk about some trading stories there. Um, I'm pulling through here, coming up to this all-time high basically, and never really seeing that level again here, basically that 400 level. And ever since then, um, they still have 280 million shares. So yeah, they have this huge stake in it too, still in that, in Apple. Thank you, that my friend. Um, but yeah, Snow, is it? It's competing within the AI space, but not to the same extent. It looks like they're having another down year. What in the heck is their estimates are so low? But this is a lot of volume coming in here. Next year growing 23 potentially, but they're losing money. Yeah, this will take a little bit more homework to look into what Snow's going on here, what they're doing, and what they're trying to build. But yeah, interesting stuff. let's see. We did Tesla, We did no, we didn't. Did we do Reddit? Reddit's kind of the same camp too. It's kind of extended here. It could be breaking out here and continue to climb, but it's a little bit too far off for my comfort to the golden line of opportunity here. Last but not least, China. This is the China ETF XFI. These are the large cap ETF for China. This thing has just slowly churning, and now it's really kind of breaking out here. Um, All time high. Sorry, not all time high, but like this is some key levels here. So we're looking here on the weekly side, um, where the trending is up. There's very low volume, like of selling and so forth. This thing could, again, ever lie to the administrative and very political swing. So this is not probably, it's an ETF first of all, so it's not like you're owning Baidu or ByteDance or Alibaba, which is BA. It kind of looks similar. It's kind of breaking out here a little bit, but a lot of these stocks are very beaten down and just haven't been performing too well there. Uh, but China is potentially coming back. So we'll see how that one plays out. I don't have any current positions or things on there, but FXI is kind of looking strong here and not showing any really signs of pulling back here. So the trend is your friend until it's not, right? Let me just do one more check, and then if there's any questions, go ahead and put that in the comments now. I'll be wrapping it up soon. Let's see here. Reddit, Yetis. We talked about Spot a little bit. That's again, look at that beautiful chart. That's just a beautiful trend right there. We love to see that. We did Palantir, Netflix, Rocket, Uber, Crowd, Tesla. Yeah, I think we covered everything for my liking. Um, let's just double check. Main list. I think we did everything. We did Google, did Reddit, Yeti. We made fun of that. BE. We did cover BE, right? Yes, I think we did. Yeah, I think this was a great live stream. I thank everyone for coming out. If you guys liked it, you know what to do. Hit the like. Tell a fellow friend and investor. I like to do these. This helps me clear my mind and get my thoughts in a row, especially within the markets, and kind of just share and educate people as well while I am um, becoming not to say a master, but it's like kind of like golf. You never master it. You just continuously get slightly 1 or 2% better year over year, and just going from there. So I thank everyone for coming out from the bottom of my heart. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. A good remainder rest of the week for trading and investing. Again, just some key notes before I send you off here. Just be mindful about, yes, Dwight did point it out, like, hey, September, it could be on shaky grounds. We have some key information coming out on, no, it's not on firm payroll this week, is it? No, no, it's not Friday. Um, of other things coming out, so forth. But just be mindful out there. Be careful. Follow your risk plan, and make sure that you're not buying things that are really extended. And the one thing that I would say that has helped me is the fear, the FOMO of missing out. Um, the great Jim Ropel, who's a fantastic hedge fund manager, has always said, like, hey, this is, we live in a beautiful world, the capital market of the United States. We're always going to be another Tesla. There's always going to be another Nvidia around the corner. You just have to play the game, be disciplined, and just show up and do the work. So um, that's kind of like my motto that I look at the market. All right, guys, I'm going to stop rambling. Everyone have a blessed evening. I will see you guys this weekend for another live stream, potentially on Sunday evening this time. And then I'll be trying to maybe work in 1 or 2 videos just to kind of build engagement and kind of keep some things up to date and so forth. But I really enjoyed doing the live streams. And again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Have a wonderful evening. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.